Welcome, design students. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this keep here. This would be where the people live in the castle. And I'm going to show you how to make these timbers down here. Again, these support timbers and this roof. And this interesting piece up here where it's kind of like a porch and a place for them to stand when battle is going on. And I'm also going to show you how to make these pennants or flags. I'm probably not going to show you in detail how to make this entire thing because it took me a little while, but I will certainly hit the highlights. So let's get started. So I've created a new scene here, and I'm going to start with a box as always. And I'm going to hit F to focus on that box. And then we're going to scale it very thin. This is going to be the pennant, by the way, and long, and maybe a little wide like that. I'm going to move it up. And then we're going to go to the polycube node and add one segment that way. So it should have two, so it should be divided in half like this. And then we're going to switch to vertex mode and grab the vertex on the end and pull it in like that. Then we're going to grab these vertices on this end and scale them up so that it kind of tapers like that. I think I'll also pull it out and make it a little longer. So now we have our basic flag shape. Let's switch to object mode and move it up. And now we need to add some more segments so that we can apply the modifier to it that's going to make it wavy. So let's give it a couple more divisions in the height. Oops, guess we can't do that. So we're going to have to use the connect tool. So let's switch to the edge mode here. These edges here, and then hold down shift and drag a very thin selection box so that you're grabbing these edges. You just want the ones that go this way. You do not want to do that. Okay, so you don't want these bottom ones and these top ones or this one in the middle. And then we're going to hold down shift and we're going to select connect components, and that will put one edge down the center, and that's exactly what we want. And now we're going to put some edges going this way. So drag a selection box vertically, so you select all those edges horizontally there. Hold down shift, right click, and select the connect tool, but I'm going to select the options here. Excuse me, and when I bring that up, I want to enter about 20 segments here. And you'll have 20 segments appear. Now when you get the right number or you're done with this, to accept that, you hit enter. Enter. And now you have enough edges on your flag to do the next step. Now we're going to use a deformer like we've done before. So let's switch to object mode. And we're going to go to deform, nonlinear. We can either use wave or sine. Either one will work. I'm going to use sine. And when you select that, you need to add some amplitude to it, and you'll see what happens there. Now it's in the wrong direction, so we need to rotate it this way and this way so that it bends the flag like that. And then we need to play with the wavelength, however many waves you want, the amplitude, and what's called the offset. And we can actually animate this to make it wave. Now, wouldn't that be cool? Once you get it like you want, you're essentially done. All we need to do is select the polycube in the outliner and delete the history. So now we have a flag, so let's go ahead and move this out of the way. And we're going to create a cube again. This time we're going to create the keep, and I'm going to scale it to get the basic shape that I want. Kind of rectangular, but not too long. And this will be my keep. Now I can make this taller if I need to later. I'm just going to move it up so it's sitting on the ground. And then I'm going to make the top part. Now I'm going to leave this centered in 3D space, so it'll make it just easier to work with. I did not move it. So I'm going to create a new cube, and I'm going to move this one up to the top, and then I'm going to scale it as well. I want this one to be slightly bigger, so it hangs over the edge. And we've done this before when we made our square tower. It's the same idea. And we'll move this up Now again, this doesn't have to be perfectly proportional yet. And now we want to extrude the little supports like we've done before. So I'm going to go to the polycube node, and we're going to add some subdivisions this way. 7 usually works well, and this way. And then we're going to switch to face mode and hit F to focus on this object so we can rotate around it. And we're going to select every other face, including the corners. And then we're going to hold down Shift and extrude those downward. And then we can do the same for the top. And then to make the platform, the watch platform where they can stand, you know, the floor that's on the top of the keep, we can select all these inner polygons here. Hold down Shift and extrude the floor downward. Now we have a floor on top. Now to make the porch that is around the top, I use the multi-cut tool. Hold down Control, cut where you want the porch to be basically, and then we select all of these polygons right here to extrude them outward. To easily select a ring of polygons, I'm going to use the scale tool for this. You can select one and then hold down Shift and double click the one next to it, and that will select the whole ring. Now I'm going to hold down Shift and extrude only in the X and Z axes, and maybe pull that out a little more. Then I'm going to hold down, I'm going to select this ring, select one, hold down Shift, double click on the next one, and I'm going to inset these. I'm going to do the opposite, holding down Shift. And then I'm going to get the Move tool, hold down Shift, and extrude the floor downward. If you go too far, those polygons will turn black, so we want to go right until they don't. And that's the upper part of the keep. Now to do the lower part, I'm going to use the multi-cut tool. I'm going to select this lower part and use the multi-cut tool. Hold down Control and cut an edge about right there. Then I'm going to get the scale tool, switch to face mode, click that, hold down Shift, double click the next one, and I get the whole ring, or the whole loop. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and scale only in the X and Z axes. Now to make the roof, it's actually quite easy. I'm going to switch to edge mode first and grab this loop here by double clicking on it and moving it up so I get kind of a slope here. Now to make the roof, I'm going to use these polygons right here, and I'm going to show you an easy way to do that. I'm going to switch to face mode, select this loop by clicking one, holding down Shift, clicking the next one, and I'm going to hold down Shift and right click to bring up the modeling tools, and we're going to select Detach Components. Once we do that, and we get the Move tool, when we move these up, you can see they're now detached. So I can use this to make the roof. So I'm going to move this up a little bit. I'm going to get the scale tool, and I'm not holding down Shift or anything. I'm just going to scale it out so that it overhangs as much as I want. Now we need to make this more three-dimensional. Right now it's just a plane. So what we're going to do is switch to edge mode, and we're going to double click on this outer edge here, and get the Move tool, hold down Shift and extrude downward. And then with that edge still selected, we're going to get the scale tool, and this time we're going to hold down Shift and scale inward in only the X and Z axes again. Then I'm going to grab this and move it up to create that slope. And I think I'm going to get the scale tool and scale it in a little more. I'm not holding down Shift or anything. I just want it to come in a little more. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and double click on this edge as well and scale them both in until they meet the building. And then all we have to do is get the Move tool, switch to face mode, and double click on that entire element and move it down until it's on the roof of the lower part. And we need to move this part down, obviously. So I'm going to Go to edge mode, double click this edge and move that down. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to make the posts, and we've done this before. We're going to start with a cube. I'm going to move this out. I'm going to position this on the corner, or actually I'll position it sort of in the middle there so that it's near the underhang of the roof. I'm going to hit F to focus on that cube and get the scale tool, and I'm going to scale it down only in the X and Z axes to make it like a post. And then I'm going to switch to vertex mode, grab these top vertices and move them up to make it tall enough. I'm going to switch to object mode now. I'm going to select the rotate tool, hold down Shift and create a copy. Now I want that to rotate exactly 90 degrees, so I'm going to double click, bring up the tool settings and turn on step snaps so that I can rotate that like I want. Hold down Shift, create a copy like so. I'm going to move that up and over. Hit F to focus on it. And now I'm going to switch to face mode, grab that end face and move that in. Now I've found that this works better in face mode than in vertex mode. So grab the rotate tool and rotate that face so that it's facing flat. Well, it's not going to face flat upward. So that it's up, and then we can move that up. And I'm going to have to turn off relative snap and rotate that until it's 45 degrees. And you may have to scale it out just a bit. Sometimes it gets a little squished so it doesn't look like it's tapered, and just move that up like so. Then we switch to object mode, and instead of using reflect, I'm going to use the rotate tool. I'm going to turn on relative snapping, hold down Shift and rotate a copy. That's weird. 180 degrees, and then we're going to move that over to the other side. Need to hit F to focus on it so I can line it up. And now we have a timber support. So now we can combine this by selecting all three objects, going to Mesh, selecting Combine, and then we should center the pivot. And then of course we can copy this as many times as we want. To make a quarter one, I would select one and make a copy. Hit F to focus on it. Then I would go to Mesh and separate it. And I would take one of these timber supports here. Now notice that the pivot point is way out there. I need to center it, so I'm going to hit Modify, Center Pivot. And then get the Rotate tool, and I'm just going to rotate that 90 degrees and then move it into place so that it looks like that. That would be a corner one. And then we can combine that mesh as well. Now notice where the pivot point is here. I'm going to center it. It didn't do anything, so I really need to have that centered so I can make copies and easily work with it. So I'm going to center the pivot by doing it manually. If you hold down D on your keyboard, notice how the gizmo changes. You can move the pivot manually to where you want it to be. So now I can easily make a copy for the opposite corners, like so. And that's how you do support timbers. So let's position our flag up on top. All we got to do is move it up, focus on it. Just focus on it again as I move it around. I think that's a decent size. We're going to make a flag pole by just simply using a cylinder. Pull that on top, hit F to focus on it, move that over here. I'm just scaling this in the X and Z axis to make it thin like a flagpole. And I'm going to switch to vertex mode. Oops. That's that Maya glitch again. grab those top vertices and move them up to make a nice tall flagpole. Switch back to object mode, grab the flag, hit F to focus on it, and now we could take this flag and this flagpole and copy it around to the corners. And there you have it. Now, if the keep is too short, for example, then we could just grab these, move them up, and then take this, grab this top face here, and move it up. It's very easy to adjust. So that's how you make a keep. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.